Have you ever been thrown out of your own home with only $7 in your pocket? What if your own son looked you in the eyes and treated you like a problem instead of a father? And what if the old card hidden in your late wife's wallet wasn't just a bank card, but the key to a secret she had been protecting for years? This story is about betrayal, greed, hidden wealth, and a father who discovered that sometimes the people closest to you can hurt you the most. Welcome to Betrayal Revenge Stories. The rain started falling just before sunset. Cold rain. The kind that soaks through your clothes and settles deep in your bones. I stood in my workshop surrounded by the smell of oak wood and sawdust. For 40 years this place had been my second home. Every shelf, every tool, every table. I had built them with my own hands. My name was Arthur Bennett. I was 70 years old. A carpenter. A builder. A husband. Or at least I had been. My wife, Grace, had passed away 8 months earlier. Losing her felt like losing half my heart. Every morning I still reached across the bed expecting to find her beside me. Every night I missed her voice. I thought that was the hardest thing I would ever experience. I was wrong. Because the real pain was standing right in front of me. My son, Ryan Bennett. The boy I raised. The boy I taught to ride a bicycle. The boy I worked overtime to support. The boy I loved more than my own life. And now he was looking at me like I was a stranger. "You have 1 hour," Ryan said coldly. I stared at him. "What?" "You heard me." His expensive watch gleamed under the workshop lights. "You need to leave." I honestly thought I had misunderstood. "Leave where?" Ryan sighed impatiently, like I was wasting his time. "The house." My stomach dropped. For several seconds I couldn't even speak. Then I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it sounded impossible. "Ryan. I'm serious." The smile vanished from my face. The workshop suddenly felt colder. His wife, Vanessa Cole, stood nearby with her arms crossed. She watched the conversation quietly. Too quietly. There was something about her smile that made me uncomfortable. Something fake. Something hungry. "Son," I said carefully, "this is my house." Ryan shook his head. "No." "What do you mean no?" "It's legally mine now." The words hit me like a hammer. "What are you talking about?" He pulled several papers from a folder. Property documents. Legal documents. Documents I barely understood. My eyes moved across the pages. Then my heart stopped. Months earlier, after Grace died, Ryan convinced me to sign paperwork. He claimed it would help with estate planning. Taxes. Family protection. I trusted him. Why wouldn't I? He was my son. Now I realized what I had signed. The house. The workshop. Everything. Ryan had transferred ownership. And I never noticed. My hands started shaking. "You tricked me." Ryan avoided my eyes. "It was necessary." "Necessary?" My voice cracked. "You stole my home." Vanessa stepped forward. "We prefer to think of it as restructuring." The way she said it made me sick. Like my entire life was a business deal. Not a family. Not memories. Not love. Just numbers. "I built this house," I whispered. Ryan checked his watch. "You have 55 minutes now." The coldness in his voice hurt more than any punch ever could. I searched his face, desperately looking for the boy I once knew. But he was gone. Standing in his place was a stranger. A stranger wearing my son's face. "I have nowhere to go." Ryan shrugged. "That's not my problem." The words cut deeper than anything else. Not my problem. After everything. After every sacrifice. After every birthday. Every scraped knee. Every school event. Every sleepless night. I wasn't his father anymore. I was an inconvenience. Vanessa handed him a set of keys. Ryan tossed them casually into his pocket. Then he looked at me. "Don't try coming back." My chest tightened. "What?" "The locks are being changed." A loud drilling sound suddenly echoed from the front of the house. I turned. A locksmith was already working on the front door. My front door. The door I had carved by hand 30 years earlier. The door Grace loved. The sound felt like someone drilling directly into my heart. For a moment nobody spoke. The only sound was metal grinding against metal. Then Ryan looked at me again. "You should go." I picked up an old canvas bag. Inside I packed a few shirts. A framed photo of Grace. My favorite woodworking chisel. And nothing else. Because there wasn't room for a lifetime. As I walked toward the driveway, Vanessa watched me carefully. Almost like she was making sure I really left. I reached the sidewalk. Then stopped. Rain soaked my jacket. The locksmith finished his work. The deadbolt clicked. And just like that, I was locked out of my own life. The next few hours felt unreal. I wandered through town carrying one bag. No destination. No plan. No home. The rain grew heavier. Cars passed. People hurried by. Nobody knew that a 70-year-old man had just lost everything. Eventually I found a cheap motel. The neon sign flickered above the entrance. The place looked tired. Forgotten. Kind of like me. Inside, the clerk barely looked up. Cash only. I opened my wallet. Counted my money. $42. After paying for the room, I had $7 left. 7. At 70 years old, I sat on the edge of the motel bed staring at those crumpled bills. $7. That was apparently what my life was worth now. The room smelled strange. The heater rattled loudly. The carpet looked older than some buildings. I felt completely alone. Then I pulled out my wallet again. A photograph of Grace smiled back at me. I touched the picture gently. "I miss you," I whispered. As I slid the photo back, my fingers brushed against something. A card. Hidden behind the photograph. I frowned. Slowly I pulled it out. A faded blue bank card. Grace's name was printed on the front. My eyebrows rose. I remembered this card. Sort of. Grace used it occasionally. Mostly for quilting supplies. Whenever I asked about it, she always smiled mysteriously. "This little card takes care of itself." That was all she ever said. At the time I thought she was joking. Now I wasn't so sure. The card looked different from ordinary bank cards. More expensive. More important. Gold letters lined the bottom. The name belonged to a private wealth management company. The kind rich people used. Not carpenters. Not ordinary families. Certainly not us. Or so I thought. I turned the card over. A private phone number appeared on the back. My pulse quickened. Suddenly dozens of questions filled my mind. Why did Grace have this? Why didn't she tell me? And most importantly, what exactly was connected to this card? I barely slept that night. The card sat on the bedside table, almost glowing in the darkness, like a message from the past, like Grace was trying to tell me something. The next morning I made a decision. I would visit the bank. The bank sat downtown inside a tall glass building. Everything looked expensive. The marble floors, the security guards, the polished counters. I felt completely out of place. My jeans were worn. My boots carried sawdust. My flannel shirt was faded. I looked more like a repairman than a customer. Still I approached the counter. A young employee smiled politely. "Can I help you?" I placed the blue card on the desk. "I'd like to check this account." The employee glanced at the card. Then her expression changed instantly. Her smile disappeared. Her eyes widened. She picked up the card carefully, almost nervously. "One moment, sir." She hurried away. My stomach tightened. Had I done something wrong? Several employees gathered around a computer, whispering, looking toward me, then looking away. A security guard shifted position near the entrance. Now I was really nervous. Maybe the card was expired. Maybe it belonged to a closed account. Maybe I was about to be accused of fraud. 5 uncomfortable minutes passed. Then a door opened at the back. A woman in an elegant navy suit stepped into the lobby. She looked important. Very important. She walked directly toward me. Not toward the counter. Toward me. Every eye in the bank followed her. The woman stopped in front of me. "Mr. Bennett?" "Yes." Her expression softened. "My name is Victoria Hayes. I'm the branch manager." I nodded uncertainly. She looked down at the card, then back at me. And what she said next nearly made me fall out of my chair. "We've been waiting for you." My heart skipped. "What?" "For 3 years." I stared at her. Surely I heard wrong. She gestured toward a private hallway. "Please come with me." I followed her through security doors, past restricted areas, past offices, past places ordinary customers never entered. Finally we reached a quiet room. Leather chairs, heavy curtains, a large computer, complete privacy. Victoria closed the door gently, then sat across from me. For a moment she simply studied my face, almost like she was confirming something. Then she spoke. "Mr. Bennett?" Her voice lowered. "There is no easy way to explain this." My pulse raced. "What is it?" She opened a file. A thick file. Very thick. Pages and pages of documents. Then she turned the screen toward me, and my entire world changed. The number displayed on the account wasn't thousands. It wasn't hundreds of thousands. It wasn't even millions. I blinked repeatedly, certain my eyes were playing tricks. Then I looked again. The number remained exactly the same. My late wife had secretly built a fortune. A fortune so large that I couldn't even speak. Tears filled my eyes immediately. Not because of the money. Because suddenly I understood something. Even after her death, Grace was still protecting me. And I had absolutely no idea how deep this secret really went. For several seconds I couldn't breathe. I stared at the screen. Then I looked away. Then back again. The number was still there. The same impossible number. My hands trembled. This has to be a mistake. Victoria shook her head gently. It's not. I leaned back in the chair. My mind raced. Grace and I had lived a simple life. We drove used cars. We clipped coupons. We repaired things instead of replacing them. She never wore expensive jewelry. Never showed off. Never acted wealthy. So how was this possible? Where did this money come from? I whispered. Victoria opened another folder. Your wife left detailed instructions. The mention of Grace made my chest tighten. Even now, hearing her name hurt. Victoria carefully slid a sealed envelope across the table. My name was written on the front. Arthur. In Grace's handwriting. The sight nearly broke me. I recognized every curve of every letter. My fingers shook as I opened it. Inside was a letter. A letter my wife had written before she died. Tears filled my eyes before I even started reading. My dearest Arthur. If you're reading this, then I'm no longer beside you. And that thought breaks my heart. But if you're holding this letter, it also means something else. It means you're finally learning the truth. For years I wanted to tell you. Many times I almost did. But I was afraid. Afraid of what money might do to our family. Afraid of what it might do to Ryan. Afraid of the people who would suddenly appear if they knew. So I waited. Maybe too long. Arthur, this money didn't come from luck. It came from my grandfather. He built a successful company decades ago. When he passed away, most of the family fought over his wealth. I hated watching it happen. The greed destroyed relationships. Destroyed trust. Destroyed families. So when my portion came to me, I made a decision. I would protect it. I invested quietly. Carefully. Patiently. And over the years it grew far beyond anything I imagined. But there is something even more important. If Ryan ever chooses money over family, protect yourself. Do not trust promises. Do not trust guilt. And remember that love is proven through actions, not words. I love you. Always. Grace. By the time I finished reading, tears were running down my face. I didn't care. I missed her so much. Even now she was trying to protect me. Trying to guide me. Trying to help me. And suddenly one sentence kept repeating in my head. If Ryan ever chooses money over family, protect yourself. The painful truth was obvious. Ryan had already made his choice. And it wasn't family. Victoria gave me time to collect myself. Then she showed me the rest of the file. The fortune wasn't just sitting in one account. It was spread across investments, properties, stocks, private funds, business holdings. The amount was larger than I ever imagined. Much larger. I felt overwhelmed. I had no idea. Victoria nodded. Most people didn't. Then she hesitated. There is something else. My stomach tightened. What? She opened another document. 3 months ago, someone tried accessing these accounts. Every alarm bell in my head went off. Who? Victoria turned the screen. A name appeared. Ryan Bennett. My heart sank. He knew. Or at least suspected. My own son had tried gaining access. Without telling me. Without permission. Without honesty. The betrayal hurt more than anything else. Not because of the money. Because of what it revealed. Ryan wasn't protecting me. He was hunting for something. And now I knew exactly what. That evening I checked into a better hotel. The bank insisted. Apparently the account included security services. Private advisors. Personal assistants. Things that sounded completely ridiculous to a carpenter. But I accepted. Because for the first time since being thrown out, I felt safe. Then my phone rang. Ryan. I stared at the screen. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Instead I answered. Hello. Silence. Then his voice. Dad. The sudden warmth in his tone made my skin crawl. Just yesterday he threw me into the street. Now he sounded concerned. Have you been worried? I almost laughed. Worried? Of course. The lie sounded pathetic. I think we got off on the wrong foot. I closed my eyes. The wrong foot? He stole my house. Changed the locks. Left me homeless. And now he wanted to talk about misunderstandings? What do you want, Ryan? Another pause. Then he finally asked, Did you visit a bank today? There it was. The real reason for the call. Not love. Not guilt. Not concern. Money. Always money. I did. His breathing changed slightly. Almost excited. Did they tell you anything? I thought about Grace's letter. About loyalty. About trust. About family. Then I answered calmly. No. The lie came easily. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't trust my son. The next week revealed everything. The bank security team investigated Ryan's previous attempts to access information. The results shocked even me. For months, Ryan and Vanessa had been searching, calling advisors, reviewing old records, digging through paperwork, trying to locate hidden assets. They knew something existed. They just didn't know how much. Meanwhile, they believed I knew the secret too, which explained everything. The pressure, the manipulation, the sudden property transfers, the rush to push me out. They thought I was hiding money, and they wanted it. The realization made me sick. They didn't throw me away because I was old. They threw me away because they believed I was standing between them and wealth. Then something unexpected happened. A lawyer named Rachel Monroe contacted me. She specialized in financial crimes. After reviewing the evidence, she had concerns. Serious concerns. We met at her office. She spread several documents across the table. Your son has debt. I frowned. What kind of debt? Rachel sighed. A lot. Business debt. Credit debt. Private loans. Failed investments. The numbers were staggering. Ryan wasn't successful. He was drowning. Everything suddenly made sense. The expensive watches. The luxury cars. The constant spending. It was all fake. A performance. A house of cards ready to collapse. And he thought my hidden fortune would save him. A few days later, another surprise arrived. Vanessa called. Crying. Actually crying. At least pretending to cry. Arthur, please come home. The request almost made me laugh. Oh. They threw me out. Changed the locks. Treated me like garbage. Now suddenly I was welcome? Why? We miss you. I said nothing. Because both of us knew that wasn't true. Then she made a mistake. A huge mistake. We know about Grace's accounts. My pulse slowed. Interesting. Very interesting. So they knew something. Just not everything. Vanessa quickly tried correcting herself. But it was too late. The truth had slipped out. And now I knew exactly how desperate they were becoming. Weeks passed. More evidence surfaced. More lies were uncovered. Then Rachel discovered something that changed everything. The house transfer. The document Ryan used to steal my home. It wasn't legal. Not completely. Important signatures were missing. Certain disclosures never happened. The paperwork violated multiple regulations. In simple terms, the transfer could be reversed. Immediately. For the first time in months I smiled. A real smile. Because justice was finally coming. The court hearing happened 6 weeks later. Ryan arrived wearing an expensive suit. Vanessa sat beside him. Both looked confident. Almost arrogant. That confidence disappeared quickly. Rachel presented evidence. The illegal transfer. The financial manipulation. The coercion. The misleading documents. One by one their arguments collapsed. Then the judge spoke. The ruling was immediate. The property transfer was void. The house belonged to me. Always had. Always would. Ryan's face turned white. Vanessa looked stunned. For the first time they understood something. They weren't in control anymore. After the hearing, Ryan followed me outside. Dad, wait. I turned slowly. His eyes looked desperate. Scared. Broken. But I couldn't tell whether he regretted hurting me or regretted getting caught. I'm sorry. The words hung in the air. I studied his face carefully. The same face I kissed goodnight as a child. The same face I cheered for at baseball games. The same face I loved for decades. And yet, something felt different. Something had changed. Maybe forever. Why? His expression faltered. What? Why are you sorry? He couldn't answer. Not immediately. And that silence told me everything. Because people who truly regret something usually know why. Eventually he lowered his head. I made mistakes. I nodded. Yes. Then I walked away. Not because I hated him. Because I needed time. Some wounds don't heal in a day. 3 months later I returned home. My home. The workshop looked exactly the way I remembered. The smell of wood greeted me immediately. The tools sat where I left them. The sunlight streamed through familiar windows. For the first time since Grace died I felt peace. Real peace. I spent weeks restoring things. Repairing things. Healing. Then one afternoon I found something tucked behind an old cabinet. Another letter. From Grace. I smiled immediately. Trust Grace to leave surprises everywhere. I opened it carefully. Inside were only a few lines. Arthur, if you're reading this, then you're stronger than you think. Remember something important. Money can protect a person, but it cannot replace a person. Choose love whenever possible. Love always wins. Grace. I sat quietly for a long time, thinking about those words, thinking about life, thinking about family, thinking about forgiveness. Months later, Ryan visited. No lawyers, no demands, no expensive suit, just Ryan. He looked older, tired, humbled. For several minutes we simply sat on the porch. Then he finally spoke. I was wrong. This time the words sounded different. Honest, painful, real. Tears filled his eyes. And for the first time I believed him. Not completely. Not yet. But enough to listen. Enough to hope. Enough to begin. Because forgiveness isn't something that happens overnight. It's something built slowly. Like a house. Like trust. Like family. One piece at a time. As the sun set behind the workshop, I looked toward the horizon and thought about Grace. About everything she had protected. Everything she had sacrificed. And everything she had taught me. In the end, the fortune wasn't the real gift she left behind. The real gift was wisdom. The understanding that character matters more than money. Love matters more than wealth. And family matters more than both. Because money can disappear. Homes can be lost. Fortunes can change. But the choices we make, those are what define us. And in the end, every choice reveals who we truly are. Thank you for watching Betrayal Revenge Stories. And remember, the people who love you will stand beside you when you have everything. But their true character appears when they think you have nothing.